Back to part two of Codex After Dark. My name is Tim. This guy over here is Sal the Slab Guy. You have been introduced to the Ric Flair of comic books, Uncle Gary,
Woo!
and right next to him is Archduke Kevy. You know what time it is. It is time for breaking the code, and we tonight are going. Ooh, I heard that. We
Wow.
tonight are going to be talking about why we collect comic books, why we do the hobby that we love, why we put so much passion into it. And I know all four of us have a lot to say about it. So the pre show is going to be kind of quick right now. I'll give you enough time to get in your easy chair, get comfortable, and get ready to listen to some awesome stories. Before we get into that, Sal, let everybody know where they can find you when you're not here on Codex.
All right. When I'm not here on the Codex Station, you can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner and also Instagram as the Slab Guy 77.
Wonderful. And Kevin, you got a Facebook page. Why don't you let everybody know what that is?
All right. I do have a Facebook page because I pander to old people.
We are old people.
I'm the oldest one.
I created a group over on Facebook. What?
Okay. No, that's go ahead. Sorry.
I created a group over on Facebook and Instagram called Comic Character of the Day, where we do a deep delve into different character. Well, no, that's the Comic Character of the Week. We post a different character. I apologize. We post a different character every day, and we put on a bunch of geeky things regarding this comic book love that we all share. And we thank Uncle Gary for his contribution to that every day. We'd love to have you come on over and check us out and maybe join up and become part of our family. We'd love to see you.
Yeah. And last but not least, the newest member of the Codex Station, Uncle Gary. Please let everybody know where they can find you when you are not here on Codex.
All
Congratulations, by the way, too.
Gary. Thank you. I'm proud to be here with you fellas. This is I was hoping one day I would be asked to be this, and you know what? The reason I'm here is because of that fella there. Which way I got to point that way, Mr. Archduke Kelly?
Because I get it.
I was a part of the Comic Character of the Day site, and I won a contest, and one of the prizes, along with a great slab that I got from Sal and a great piece of artwork I got from Dan, was appear on Codex Station. And
That's
Tim,
right.
I told you when you and I talked beforehand, I don't know if you all know what you're getting into.
Yep.
And so,
I think we're ready. I think we can handle it.
Yeah, I think y'all can. So I'm proud that I'm thrilled that guest spot turned into being a part of the team, and I'm proud to be part of the team. And a Comic Character of the Day, old Kevy over there has asked me to take over the covers. So if you like the covers, I'm glad you like them. If you don't like them, that's okay. I'm still going to post what I want anyway.
He's slaughtering it, by the way.
Well,
I appreciate you can vote on them. You can vote on them, it just won't count.
Yeah, I'm having fun doing it. And you know what? The main thing is I want to introduce people to covers that they probably haven't seen. That's why I'm not doing so many newer covers, because I want people to look at the old stuff. And the biggest compliment I can get is somebody says, I got to have that cover. I'm going to
the Flying Saucers one you showed a couple months ago. That's on my short list to buy on eBay right now.
Absolutely. So you can see me. So you can see me. So I'm at Comic Logic, is a comic store that I'm a co-owner of. And Comic Logic, we're in Ashburn, Virginia. We're the only comic store in the county of Loudoun in Northern Virginia. You can see us. We have a Facebook posting that we do, and then the first Thursday of every month we do a preview show where we talk about new books that are coming out. And I'm also a part of the Grumpier Old Nerds. And what we have a show on Facebook every second and third Thursday of every month, where it's me and two of the other owners, where we get together and we talk comics, we talk current events, or current comic events. We talk sports, we talk movies, and anything that interests a bunch of old guys. And we're geriatric. I'm the only baby boomer there, just like I am here. So if y'all want to talk about boomer, I'm a boomer, baby. Last year, the baby boomer. So I am the old man.
There you go.
Boomer.
That's right. Okay.
I was going to say, are you older than me? Are you older than me?
Baby, I'll be 59 next Saturday.
Okay, that's right. You are older.
I was born 1964, baby.
I'm the
glad I
youngest
had you the
on
old man
screen
title.
right now.
I'm
That's
handing you the old man
amazing.
title. Here you go.
Well, you know what? I got big shoulders. I can carry that title.
You got
This old man-
52-inch pythons. There you
That's right.
go.
This old man is yoked.
Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, that is where you can find all of us when we're not doing Codex stuff. I, on the other hand, am here on Codex all the time. So
All the time.
all the
Yep.
time.
All the time.
So you
All
can
the time.
find me right here on the Codex Station, your favorite social media platform, or where we're live streaming right now, especially on our new platform, Kick. So if you haven't yet, hit the like, share, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss any content like this all the time, every time. And with
And
that,
we appreciate you and
Mhm.
all the crap that you put up with here, Tim.
oh,
Absolutely.
I love every minute of it. Don't worry about that. There's not a
You're
day
the
that goes
ringmaster.
by. I
You're the
try to
ringmaster.
be. I try to be. Jamie is the conductor. I will
Mm.
ringmast and crack the whip and all that stuff. Jump through these hoops, ladies and gentlemen. So, with that being said, let's listen to, as Tone put it, some porn music for 30 seconds before we get into why we.
Baby, come back downstairs. I need you.
31 seconds. That's all you got.
Round
Here
two.
we go.
Round 2.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man. Welcome to another episode of Breaking the Code. My name is Tim. This guy over here is Sal the Slab Guy. The guy fixing himself to look presentable is Uncle Gary, and right next to him is Archduke Kevy.
Had to
Tonight,
get dressed again.
that's right. 31 seconds. That's all it takes to be super awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's episode, we are going to talk about why we collect, and we have got a lot to go into about that. So please get comfortable and get ready to listen to some awesome history from the four of us here, right here at the Codex Station. And speaking of that, we're going to get about a minute and a half worth of business out of the way, and then Sal is going to get us started on why we collect.
I drew the short straw tonight. Wow.
There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to find us on thecodexstation.com. Go there to get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. Everything is there for you. It's your one-stop shop for all things Codex, and you can also head right on over to your favorite social media platform and type in at the Codex Station, and that is where you will find us. Make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss any more of this content all the time, every time. Also, that neat little QR code we got right there. You can go ahead and use your smartphone and scan that awesomeness so that way you can get exclusive content only available to Patreon members for the price of a cup of coffee, if you so please. Sal, when you are not on the Codex Station, where can people find you?
Well, you can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner and also under Instagram as the Slab Guy 77.
That is amazing. Kevin, you are on Facebook when you're not here on Codex. What is that?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you very much.
There you go.
I created a group over on Facebook and Instagram called Comic Character of the Day, where we post a different character. Thanks to Gary, a different cover, and all sorts of other goodies and news regarding this geekery that we all know and love called comic book collecting, which we'll get into more specifics of soon.
There
Tonight.
we go. All right. And Uncle Gary, let everybody know when you're not here on Codex, where can they find you?
I am on Facebook. You may see me under the name Opie Taylor, and I do post the cover of the day for Kevin's wonderful site there, and for character of the day. And sometimes we correspond and match the same character. Sometimes we don't. But it's wonderful. And part of this love we have for comics is I'm trying to introduce the folks to covers that they may have never seen before. So that's a pleasure of mine. I'm also the co-owner of Comic Logic, one of the co-owners, and we are in Ashburn, Virginia, and we're the only comic store in Loudoun County, Virginia. So if you're in Northern Virginia, come see us. And I'm also a member of the Grumpy Old Nerds, and we do a Facebook live show on on the second and third Thursday of every month. So if you want to see shenanigans, see us go off the rails, it's just three of us sitting there in the same room talking and bullshitting and spouting nonsense. So that's what we do best.
There you go. All right. What's the name of that restaurant that you like to go to, Farva? Shenanigans? Anyway.
Shenanigans.
All right.
Let's shenanigans on that.
We have shenanigans.
I don't want a liter of soda.
If you say that one more time, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, why we collect, that I think is the ultimate question, right? Why do you do it? Why do we get into, as Kevin says it, this geekery that we all know and love? Sal, start us off, man. What is the reason?
Oh my God, that's a really good question, but I'm going to be honest with you, and it'll probably reveal some geeky nerdness of me. But I really identified with Spider-Man, and being a nerd, not having a good girlfriend type of situation, always down on his luck. I just kind of felt a connection with Peter Parker. Let's put it that way. So Spider-Man was my number one. My number two would be Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. And the fact that he using his imagination to create anything he wanted, to win the battle or whatever. And that just blew my mind. You could just think of anything and you could create that construct, Right. So that kind of just like expanded my imagination like tenfold. And so right off the bat, those two things right away. The third thing I'm going to say is, the first really X-Men book I read was X-Men 133. And it wasn't even mine. It was my friend's. And every time we would hang out and we're at his house, I was reading that book. I mean, I probably, quote that book to you now, word for word. And that book is probably lost in the wind now or gone, but I luckily have a copy of it now slabbed, and I'm very happy to own that one.
That book made Wolverine a star.
Yeah. Yep. Where he's yep. And he's just tearing through all the hired help and stuff like that. It's great. Yep. He outbluffs one of the guards as well. It's signature moves from Wolverine all around. But nice. the fact that you saw the team captured completely down, and for like a second they're back on their feet, back in the fight and winning. That type of situation. That was just an awesome story, standalone by itself. That issue just alone was amazing. So that kind of like introduced me to the X-Men, and I think Nightcrawler was probably my favorite for his swashbuckling attitude. After that, I just enjoyed his the swashbuckling, the outgoing attitude that he had, and I enjoyed that. Yeah. Yep. So I enjoyed that of him, and that's what really pulled me into the X-Men as well. The first books that I ever got. Oh, my dog wants to go out. Okay, goodbye.
So do I.
I know. The first book they ever got was at a fair in Montgomery County Agricultural Fair, whatever. And I don't even remember if these were coming from a comic book store or what have you, but there was people handing out these books, and it was a Marvel team up between Iron Man and Spider-Man. So that was my first introduction of getting Iron Man called Shellhead, which I thought was pretty funny.
Nice.
And the other one was that Avengers. Gary, you know this one, the Avengers where Grim Reaper is doing a trial of Wonder Man and
Adventure 160.
Vision.
Tim and I talked about this tonight. That's one of my favorite. Avengers 160. Yep.
Well, Gary, I think that solidifies the book you're going to do for
Decoding Panels.
Decoding Panels, right there.
Oh, there you go. So that was my first introduction.
That's probably my favorite single issue of Avengers.
Yeah. So that kind of brought my horizons to the Avengers and Wonder Man in particular, because I probably never even heard of Wonder Man. Everybody's heard of the Avengers. You always got the Avengers you've always heard of, but you never really knew all the deeper characters, and Wonder Man was one of them. So that's kind of that right there opened my mind to the Avengers as well. So
Wonder Man's my
like
favorite character. My favorite Marvel character is Wonder Man.
Boom.
Yep.
Boom. So now
such an underrated, underused character.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. So now I really like, for the most part, I do like all the stories, except for, maybe a few people. We won't mention any names on here. Amazing Spider-Man number 25. But we won't mention any names.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about either. But I really enjoy the artwork. I mean, I really enjoy the covers, and I really love displaying them like I have, as you can see behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Ross, any classic cover like this Iron Man with the demon in the bottle.
Yeah.
That it's just very epic, I want to say. And it's just for something that screams to me, it needs to be displayed. Like you go to an art museum, you're seeing fine art, you're like, Mona Lisa, whatever have you. And it's like, yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I feel the same way with these, and that's why I have them up on display.
Okay. All right, Sal, that is awesome to hear why you collect comic books. I know we are just at the tip of the iceberg with that, so we'll get a little bit deeper as we go on. But if you guys don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and go second and dive into that a little bit. So the reason why I collect is, Sal, I think a lot of us kind of fall into that same thing, like you said in the beginning, right? We were a bunch of nerds, we were a bunch of geeks. We weren't as popular with the ladies as a bunch of other people.
We didn't fit in.
Yeah, exactly. To broaden it out, we didn't fit in.
Right.
And the place we did fit in was inside these stories. And I can remember, Gary, you have given me a lot of inspiration to show Genesis books. And these are not my originals, obviously, but they're copies of books that are significant in my journey through comic book history. So when I was younger, and I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. When I was younger, when I was 12 years old, my mom and my grandmother went yard sale shopping, and we were at my grandma's house. And when she came back, she handed me a brown paper sack filled with comic books. There was like 7 or 8 of them in there. And she goes, "Here, I got these for you." I was like, okay. I'd never read a comic book before a day in my life, but I remember most of what was in there. There was a Phantom issue. This was from the late 80s to early 90s. And I was 12 years old in 91. So, yeah, right. Yeah. 91, I believe. But anyways, there was an old Phantom issue in there when DC was doing it, and I read that. There was a Spectre issue, so that's where I got into the Spectre. But then there was this, and I have loved this book pretty much since the moment I looked at the cover, and that is Hot Comics Chrome #1. This is early Kelly Jones work. Yeah, this is visual storytelling, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely amazing. It's only 3 issues, and at the end of the 3rd issue, you can see, like, they give you the preview of what's coming next. You can see the cover for issue 4. But Hot Comics went out of business before issue 4 could come out, so you never get to see any more of it. There's only 3 issues that are out for this. And it's so wonderful. It's about an astronaut, a Russian and an American astronaut that went up in space together. This was during the height of the Cold War, and they had come up with this liquid chrome type suit. Accident happens. They crash land. One of the astronauts survives. You don't know who it is, but this suit is stuck on them, and it's amazing. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Tim, I want to tell you what's really cool about that to me. I've seen a lot of comics. I have never heard of that title. I have never seen that issue. So I find that really amazing that's one of your Genesis books. And I've never heard of it or seen it. And it's
not a whole lot of people have. This is like something that they're like, what is that?
Yeah, I haven't heard of that either.
This was back in the 80s when a lot of independent titles were spouting around all over the place. A lot of great artists and writers and inkers and etc. got their start in these type of books. This is where they got their feet wet. If you can ever find it, you can find them in the dollar bins or the 50-cent bins. They're usually beat up, but it's worth getting just to look at what's inside in the cover and to know that, hey, this was one of the books that got Tim started. Another one, and we've talked about this several times, is and I have friends that don't like this issue. I love it. I think it's one of the greatest X-Men stories ever. And that's Uncanny X-Men Annual
Yes.
number 11.
Oh God, I love that one.
I love it. It's so good. There's this one part in there, and as a 12-year-old kid reading this, not knowing anything about these characters, when they're inside that dimension in the palace and all that stuff, going after this item that this guy wants. This is his first and only appearance, by the way. Storm and Wolverine are standing next to each other, and they are like the two hardened fighters of the X-Men at this time. They both look at each other. Storm says something along the lines of, well, we got to go in there, and Wolverine and Storm kiss, right? And it's a hard kiss too. And Wolverine's like, doll, if we have to die today, today's as good a day as any. And he takes off. And that is just so mind-blowing to me. I was like, what is about to happen here? And the whole story is just so fantastic.
You could absolutely tell that the author was that
Chris
Claremont?
Claremont, yeah, absolutely.
You knew you read that. It's like when I read that, I wasn't paying attention to writers, but I was like, whoever wrote this is a big fan of Wolverine.
Yeah, and Alan Davis did the artwork.
Oh yeah,
So there's that too.
Nice.
But the other books, and Uncle Gary, you and I talked about this before everybody else got on, but the other two books that are big in my history, my backstory, so to speak, are the
your origin?
In my origin, are the two books that I bought with my own money. This was like a year later or something like that, not too long, or maybe even in the same year. But my mom gave me $2. And we were in a small town called Baldwin, Michigan. For all my friends in Baldwin, hey, how's it going? But you'll know Jones Ice Cream. It was an old ice cream shop, and they had the whole bar from the 50s, excuse me, and all of that stuff. And it looked amazing. It was like walking into a time capsule. And they had a spinner rack of new comic books. And the two that I got for $2 was Fantastic Four number 356. Uncle Gary, who is that guy?
That's Puppet Master, baby.
That would be the Puppet Master. And then you've got the new heroes, Marvel Boy from New Warriors, taking Alicia, and everybody is kind of upset about that. So I got this, and then I got this. And this is a copy of it, obviously, but I had to get it graded. And this is Amazing Spider-Man number 351. This is why I always say, is that Bagley art? Because this guy right here.
And what's that grade again?
9.8, good sir. 9.8. Yeah. So there you go. There's the history of why I say, is that Bagley art? It's because of this right here. This book.
Is that the beginning of him going cosmic?
No. So this is the first issue where Bagley becomes the official artist for Amazing Spider-Man, and this starts a long run of him doing Spider-Man work. He was the artist of the 90s, and the thing says the Tri-Sentinel's back, and this time, Kevin, Spidey doesn't have cosmic powers.
Oh, okay. All right, there you go.
Also guest starring Nova of the New Warriors.
Oh, love Nova.
So yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if I remember right, the Cosmic Spider-Man started in Spectacular Spider-Man 158.
Yep, and that was when Buscema, I believe, was doing the artwork in Spectacular, and Eric Larson was doing the work in Amazing.
Yeah, Eric Larson.
But
Sal lived in this area. Sal's still living. Sal Buscema is still living, and he lives not too far from here. So it's kind of,
I would love to meet him.
Seriously.
But to kind of sum it up, it's because of those books right there. Those books gave me a taste of the world of comic books and the stories that are so involved, and stories that make you love characters and stories that make you hate characters. The writing and the artwork, the inks, the colors, the letters, all of it. And it's just so wonderful. I collect because Sal, like you, I love the artwork. I love to showcase it. I love to display it. I love to preserve books that have sentimental value to me. I love to preserve books that have monetary value, but most of all, I like to have all of these right here that I can dig in and grab at any time, like that right there, right? That's a random. So
that wasn't random. Come on,
that was random. Here's another
God.
random one. What
That's
is this?
amazing. Holy crap!
We'll go with Ultimate X-Men.
There we go.
But yeah, so just to have these books here and to have them available to me and to know that this is something that I am incredibly passionate about. And if anybody's like, oh yeah, I know Spider-Man, please tell me what you know. I would love to hear it so I can have a conversation with you about everything that I know. And I never gatekeep. I never say like some people do. They're like, you're wearing a Nirvana shirt, name 3 songs by Nirvana that aren't famous. Pfft, screw that. Oh, you're wearing a Spider-Man shirt? That's awesome. How did you get into Spider-Man? Tell me about it. He's my favorite character. Is he your favorite character? Awesome. We have something in common. Let's talk about it. I'm ready to go. So yeah, that's why I love collecting. That's why I collect. Uncle Gary, why don't you go ahead and let us know, and then Kevin, you will round us out before we all talk about it together.
Sure.
All right. Well, I first started collecting in February of 1974. I was 9.5 years old, and my grandfather took me to a 7-Eleven, and some of my most precious memories are going to 7-Eleven with him, because you get a soda. Yeah, I'd get a like a Hostess fruit pie or cupcake, maybe candy bar, and then comics. And so the first book I ever got was this beauty here, Justice League of America, 111. This was my Genesis book. It's beat to hell. This book in this condition is not worth a damn thing, but it's one of the it's the cornerstone of my collection. And this started it. And just for comparison, here's one that is beautiful, So that's how much this was well loved. So these 100 pagers, I'm nostalgic for them because those were the first ones I got. And I know at one point I think I had like 9 of them. And I remember I had like this bag that onions came in, it was kind of like a drawstring and like crisscross rope. I would carry them all all over the place and take them everywhere and read them and reread them. And they had the reprints in there, stories from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. And I soaked up all this knowledge of all these older stories and characters, like the Justice Society, which I fell in love with, after the Justice League. They're my greatest comic love. And I got that knowledge from reading those books. Unlike, when I first started, so I'm going to go deep here. When I first started reading the comics, they were important to me because I needed a world where the good guys won. I had, my childhood was not ideal. I was raised by my mom, single mom. I don't have any brothers or sisters, hardly any family. I had loving grandparents that I had, and my mom's all I had. And then my father was a really bad dude. He's a bad guy. And my mother and he divorced when I was 5. She got out of there before he killed her. He had almost choked her to death twice. He was an alcoholic, piece of crap, misogynistic, and actually the woman after my mother that he was with, he killed her. So my father's dead. So I needed a world where the good guys won. I was in military school. My mom was trying to raise me. I was put in military school, not because of behavioral issues, but just because she didn't have anybody qualified to help watch me during the day while she worked. And so that school gave me a lot of self-reliance, and that was great. But this was a world where I needed a world of heroes. And these heroes became my friend in a lot of ways. They became somebody I could count on, somebody I could look up to. I had no, except for my grandfather, I had no positive male role models in my life. but I learned to rely on myself in military school, and these comics were just an important part of my DNA. And like I said, they became friends to me, and it was just very integral to my makeup. And as I got older, I was 9.5 then. So what's really cool is next February will be my 50th anniversary collection, which is fantastic. It's phenomenal, right? So I'm really going to celebrate that. But as I got older, I wasn't, I know you fellas had said, you had the nerd, you're part of the nerd culture right there. When it wasn't cool, right? It wasn't cool. And I was before you. So it was even less cool. Mm-hmm. But because I played ball, because I was a bigger guy, I never got shoehorned as a nerd on it. You know what I mean? I would go into the comic shops, and it's kind of funny. When I would go into the comic shops, y'all felt a sense of belonging, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't always belong so much because I wasn't like the other comic readers. You know what I'm saying? So because I didn't fit the mold, because here's a guy, he's kind of popular, he's a big guy, he walks his own path. And if the girl comes in the store, goddamn right I'm talking to her. Right? So I'm talking to her. And I had friends that go, God, in the 80s you were into comics. How the hell did you get girls and you were into comics? It wasn't cool then. I was like, dude, I never led with, hey, I like comics. I'm like, yeah, I'm on the team. I play. You want to go out? Let's have a good time. And then after you have some dates and have a good time, she didn't care what the hell you're into. So that's why I got into comics, and that's why it sustained me, and I needed it. And comics and football probably saved my life in a lot of ways, right? Because comics gave me the family I didn't have, and football allowed me to partake in the violence I needed. Because what I could do between those lines to people, you get arrested for doing. You could get arrested in public for doing those things. So I needed that release and that outlet. And between comics and football, they're really integral. And you know what? I wouldn't have traded any for the world, because we are the byproduct of what our life has done for us and what it's made us. And comics are, I slit, if I cut my wrist, I think I would bleed 4-color ink, right? Because that's how integral they are to me. And unlike most collectors, I never quit for a day. Not for a day. Okay. I started in 1972 and I stayed forever. And I've never stopped collecting. And that's probably one reason why I'm sitting here in a kingdom of 58,000 comics. So, it's
amazing.
It's, like I said, it's so ingrained, and I do have the collector's bug, and I have the gene in me. And like y'all, the art is everything. I display the books, especially the horror covers. They mean so much. Kevin, it means a lot to me to do the cover of the day, because I'm spreading my love of these covers. Again, old, not so much the newer stuff, but the older stuff, because I don't want us to forget how great these creators of the past were.
Absolutely.
That is so important. So that's why that's why doing that is a labor of love, to pick those covers and to try to match them. And heck, the one we had today with the Scorpion, I substituted, put a Scorpion, not the Scorpion character, but I also gave 2 alternate covers that I hope people would look up that were great Scorpion covers of the character Scorpion. So, I had great options to throw out there. And so you're
doing it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm happy that you're happy with that. Absolutely. But it's just, again, you cut my wrist, I'm going to bleed 4-color ink. So that's the, that is that's it. It's in my DNA.
I really enjoy the old horror book covers, because I was never a big horror book guy. I was always into the superheroes, that genre, and I never really got into the horror book so much, but I love those old covers. I really do. They blow my mind on the artwork. They really do.
Sal, I know we're going to look at, when you all come back, we're going to look at, these runs and all that, but I can't wait to open a box of Ghosts, and you look at all the Ghost covers. You look at the House of Mysteries I have, the House of Secrets. because they are so cool. And I'm sure every one of us on this panel loved horror movies. Right?
Yes.
Do you have any? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you have any old Phantom books?
Yeah. I have a few. There were Charlton books. I have a few of those, but I have Jim Aparo did that art on those for a while. But I have the DC when DC had the rights to Phantom. I have all those. Yeah. So there were a couple different minis they did. Lee, the ghost. He was the ghost that walks, and the Phantom was kind of cool.
Yep. That was the one character my dad
loved. Weeks created.
Let's go ahead and see what Kevin's got to say. But before we do that, no worries, and then we'll dive right into all of this. Before we do that, though, I would like to introduce you guys to my friend Keith. You remember that collection that I bought, Sal, that had the Firestorm and all that? Well, that's that man right down there. He's using my mom's YouTube right now, but he says Tim Keith here, and since we're talking about why we collect. This is his reason why he's collecting now. He just wants to say thank you for not only getting him back into comics, but also being a great friend. Love you, man. Keith, I love you too. You are super awesome, and it is a joy and a pleasure to see you when you come into the comic shop on Mondays and or Thursdays whenever I'm working. So, yeah, there's that. Keith was out of comics for a long time. He sold his collection to me, which I have in these boxes back here. And because of that, and because of just how much joy I showed when he was showing me all these things and all these books, that was an inspiration for him to go back and start getting books. And now he's getting new books. He's got a pull list. He's getting old books.
Awesome.
He's doing all kinds of stuff. So
that's great.
Keith, it's amazing to hear just a little snippet of that story. And one day we'll have you on, Keith, so you can tell why you collected to begin with, why you stopped, and why you started again.
That's send your variants to me. I would appreciate that. Thank you very much.
They have to go through me first. It's like the open letter system in prison. I'll look at it, make sure they're not contraband. But Kevin, let us know, man. Why do you collect? And then we'll have the 4-way panel.
So I started. It started off with it was kind of like the timing was perfect. My mom started picking me up comic books in order to encourage me to start to read. And around that same time, I found and stumbled upon and got an old book. It was, Tim, you'll appreciate this. It was the Dungeons and Dragons first edition of Deities and Demigods.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And so I found both of them around the same time, and both of them kind of reinforced my fascination with the other. But through learning mythology through that, or starting with that, and then going up and getting to the point where in college I was studying mythology, and Joseph Campbell with the hero's journey and Jung with the archetypes brought me into a completely different and much deeper appreciation of comic books and stories and how they're written and why they're written and who the character is and what they're all about. It made me just fascinated with stories. And comic books tell them in a way, in a medium that is unique. It's visual as any movie, and its depth of any book blended together in a visual medium that has no limits. There's no budget restraints. There's no we can't get this actor, because it's perfect storm of storytelling. And it goes back to the mythology of telling stories. I've learned so much from comic books, philosophy, poetry, just some incredible learning and studying of life through the medium of comic books. I pride myself on asking people, what do you like to what's your interest? What do you like to do when you're not working or whatever? And somebody's like, oh, I'm into cuisine. I'm like, read the comic Chew.
No, don't. Yeah, well, yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Or like whatever they're interested in is like, I got a comic that I think that you'll really appreciate if you're into
beats.
whatever it is that you're into.
Just beats. They don't tell you anything. God.
But I share the passion of like, this is inherent in who I am. So I think that with comics, yeah, they made me who I am today, and I'm extraordinarily appreciative of everybody that has had a hand in the foundation of making me who I am today. So thank you to all of the, the man, the king, all of these guys. I without them, I wouldn't be who I am today.
That's right.
Between the path that I lived and life in general, and then the comic book aspect of it, the two have made me the awesome dude that if you pay for the $7 a month patron, you get to talk to me about this shit. So
that's a good plug. That's a good segue.
How much is the OnlyFans page?
That is $14.99 per hour.
The sad thing is that Tim gets the 13 of that. Which
oh my God!
Damn,
we are going the 4-way panel here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, before we get into the group discussion, I think one thing needs to be said, Uncle Gary, where you said that you didn't feel like you belonged with the nerds. What my personal opinion, just off of that alone, I think you were in two worlds and not really a part of either one.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, you didn't feel welcome in one or the other all the way. You did what I did with music. And like with comic books, that was one thing, right? With comics, the people that I hung out with, that was something that we all had in common. But when it came to music, I had friends that were very specific about things that they listened to. And if you listened to anything outside of that, you were ostracized or you're severely made fun of or anything like that. I call them my closet bands, and everybody had them. My closet band when I was a kid was the Guess Who, right? That was a band that I listened to by myself, alone in my room with my uncle. Right, Kevin? Why? Why would people get upset about that?
Guess Who is awesome.
Not to some of the people that I hung out with. They listened to Metallica and Megadeth and Slayer and all these other things. And those bands are great, but I wanted to listen to No Sugar Tonight and American Woman and all these other great songs and things like that. And if I told people I listened to that, you listen to the Guess Who, it's time to break down Tim. And there was go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to say, when I was younger, you either listened to metal or you listened to rap. Those were the two. Nothing else.
Well, the people I hung out with, you couldn't listen to rap either. That was a big no-no. And I listened to some of that. I grew up on NWA and, Run DMC and things of that.
DMC.
Yeah, right? All that stuff. I loved listening to that stuff, but with some of the people I hung out with, you couldn't tell them you listened to it. And the one band I couldn't tell anybody I listened to that I got caught singing the words to, believe it or not, was the Spice Girls. Right? The whole first album. I have a younger sister. She loved the Spice Girls. I listened to the Spice Girls with her. And the whole first album I knew front to back. All the words, all that stuff. And I'm sitting with a buddy of mine's sister. We were having breakfast. I spent the night at his house, and we're sitting there, and the first Spice Girls album's playing. I'm sitting there singing along, eating my breakfast. She's looking at me. She's like, "Why? How do you know this stuff?" I was like, "Shit. Okay. I actually like it. It's really cool. I listen to it with
There's nothing wrong with that, brother. Tim, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly how I felt, because I was part of two worlds, but they didn't quite fit in both. Like I said, we are
Clark Kent. You were Clark Kent.
Yeah. You know what? I'll take that. Good. Because when I played ball, I was more of a loner too, right? I mean, I wasn't. I wasn't the rah-rah leader. I wasn't a follower. I was a guy that led by example, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to hit you as hard as I freaking can. So, I mean, I had that. And then in the comic shop, you know, I was looked at differently because so many people that looked like me were mean and cruel to people that looked like them. And I was always a protector. I can't abide a bully. I can't stand a bully. And I would protect my friends that were, you know, a little nerdier and things like that. And I wouldn't allow harm to come to them. And why are you defending them? I said, and I'd have to tell people, why are you attacking them?
Yeah.
You know, you beating them up. What's that do to you? You don't. That doesn't enhance your rep. But I tell you what, if you and I want to throw down a little bit and you beat my ass, then that's something to brag about, baby.
There you go.
But you know, it's kind of funny that when you confront them and you offer that out, some people just don't want to take it.
No, they don't want to take that big a bite of humbling.
Well, that's right too. And they knew I had some anger issues. And look, I'm not gonna lie, being a bigger dude has benefited me. But you know, the things I went through in life made me hard. Where peer pressure was nothing to me, right? You know, you want me, you know, you trying to get me to do something, I'm just gonna dig my heels in even more. I'm not gonna do it. So peer pressure was nothing. I kind of walked my own path there, but I got to the point where I was accepted more in the shops. It became more mainstream. And the other thing is, when they found out I wasn't a tourist, that I had some serious comic bona fides, you know, people were like, God damn, you know. And then, I mean, where it is now, I mean, I am really well loved by my comic community, you know. So
I know I love you, man.
Well, I appreciate it. I love you all too. And it's been like that for years. I mean, I haven't. Right. We're talking, you know, when I was in this place where I didn't quite belong, we're talking about late 70s, early 80s kind of thing, you know what I mean? And things that evolved. But yeah, it was that thing. And, you know, as far as the Spice Girls, look, my favorite musician is John Mellencamp.
I love John Mellencamp.
He sings to me the songs he writes. But, you know who else I love? I love me some Rick Springfield.
Yep.
I love Rick Springfield. Hell, the guitar player also writes his songs and all that, but he's considered bubblegum pop. But I'm not going to shy away. I'll take that. If you want to ding me for liking Rick Springfield, you know, that's okay. I love Rick Springfield. I saw him about 5 years ago, and the dude's 60 and cut and can still shred on that guitar. So
if the Spice Girls went on tour, I would go see the Spice Girls, and I'd take my kids and be like, listen to this stuff, guys. This was awesome back in the late 90s. This is amazing.
In the Spice Girls, if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. Like,
tell me what you want. What you really want.
What you really want.
Sold.
Hey,
I wanna.
Let's go back to Mellencamp. Sometimes love don't feel like it should. But come on, baby, make it hurt so good.
Right, Jack and Diane.
Nice.
And I got a Diane. See?
There you go. Uncle Gary, have you ever seen the show Supernatural?
You know what? It's one of those shows I never got to. I appreciated it, and I know a lot about it, and I did see one episode. And I loved it. The Scooby-Doo episode. Phenomenal.
Rick Springfield was in one season, and he played Lucifer. And he kicked ass in that role.
Oh, he's a good. He's a very good actor. He was in a movie with Meryl Streep a few years ago called, I think, Frankie and the Flash or something like that, and he was really good at that. He was also on a season of Californication, playing a version of himself, and it was awesome.
We are getting off track here.
Sorry.
He had a girl bent over and it was singing, "You're Gonna Love Somebody."
Oh my God. Well, let's go ahead and shore this up with some final thoughts, gentlemen. So I guess now we've told everybody why we collect. So Sal, go ahead and start us off, and then we'll round us out. What advice would you give to somebody that's been in positions like all of us have, where like there's aggression, or there is pressure, or there is anything like that, where they're getting ridiculed or picked on because of comic books? What would you say to somebody like that?
Wow, that's a really tough question. I would just say, just be yourself. Coming from someone who got his ass beat a few times, in fights. It's just, it's gonna happen, you know. It didn't stop me from changing. It didn't change me who I was. I was still that guy. You know, it never changed me. So be yourself, you know, do what makes you happy. And in time, that stuff will fade away.
Yeah,
it will. So, you know, you just have to weather the storm.
Fair enough. Kevin, what about you? What would you say to somebody
that was getting picked on for reading comic books?
Yep.
I would say find out what this person that's picking on you is into. Find a comic that's relevant. Give it to them and say, before you mess with me, read this. Get them a comic.
Fair enough. Fair enough. As far as me, conversations that I've had with my kids, former stepkids, my former stepdaughter. I remember one time, like going into gatekeeping and stuff like that. There was this boy that she knew in high school, I believe it was, and he was always talking about Batman and all this knowledge of Batman and stuff like that. And she was always afraid to say things to him to correct him because the information that was coming out of his mouth was incredibly wrong. And I remember her and I sitting there one day, and she's like, Tim, everything he's saying is wrong. It's not right, but I know that it's right. I was like, well, how do you know it's right? And she's like, well, because all the stuff you talk about and all the books that you have and the books that I've read. I was like, well, then tell him. Just don't be afraid. Just let him know. Sometimes you got to stand up for yourself, and sometimes you got to put your best foot forward and be like, actually, what you're saying is incorrect. Batman actually appeared in this issue, or what you're saying about Harley Quinn is factually wrong. She actually did this. If you know it and you're confident about it, let people know, but don't be a jerk, right? Because that's what they've done to us. We don't want to do the same thing to them. That's what I would do. Gary, finish us off, man. What would you say to somebody like that?
I'd say, come stand behind me. I got your back.
There you go.
There you go.
I'll tell you a funny story, and then I want to say something, about the whole thing. My daughter, my oldest daughter, she's like 33 now. She was in an art class, and she had another girl that they weren't close, but they were kind of rivals because they were the best artists in the class. And at some point, my daughter, but they didn't interact a whole lot. But she had seen my daughter, and she had seen me before. And this boy in the class that was a big asshole had heard my daughter talking about that her dad has comics and likes comics, and she's like, your dad's a comic nerd, blah blah blah. He's a little nerd, blah blah blah. And this other girl leans across the table to him and says, he will break you.
Nice.
Have you seen her dad?
He will break you. And the guy just looked. And so it was just awesome. But what I want to reiterate, why I love comics so much, and tell people, stand up to a bully. Stand up to a bully. I'm not saying be aggressive. I'm not saying throw the first punch, but stand your ground. Stand your ground and let them know that they're not going to intimidate you. They're not going to scare you, and like what you want. You know what? We make fun of bronies, but if you're a brony and that's what you like, that's what you like. That's what you like. I got, that's,
They kind of bring it on themselves, though.
Well, they do, but be true to what you like.
That's true. Yeah.
Influence. Don't read something because somebody else does it. But if you really want to know, I'm a fountain of knowledge. I would love to. I showed the fellas the prescription pads I had that I would write comic prescriptions on books they should read last year. But what we got to remember about comics, these are our modern pantheon of gods.
Yes.
Yes. These stories used to be told around campfires about the great feats of strength and of magic and heroes and villains and human frailty and failings and
magic,
triumph.
All of
that's
that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. So this is the modern fireside storytelling that we have now. I mean, TV is the same, it's the same kind of thing, but these comics, that's how I view it. This is our medium. This is our forebearers that were telling these great stories of Zeus and Apollo and Hera and Diana and Nike and all these, great gods and goddesses and Pluto. And, this is what we are loving so much. It is something that has been passed down through humanity for many, many centuries.
This is our social commentary. That's how we learn about things. When we were kids, this is how we learned about societal issues that people wouldn't talk to us about or wouldn't tell us about. This is where we learned about characters that felt the same way we did. Sal, with Spider-Man, they were alone. They were in one world. Uncle Gary, they were part of one world and part of another, and accepted in neither. And I mean, all of that stuff. And Kevin, with the rich history of mythology and all of that, and all of that stuff we all love and we all can relate to, and it just builds a burning passion for creativity and imagination and the ability to sometimes suspend disbelief and dive into a book about Spider-Man fighting a 6-armed sentinel with a guy that can fly at the speed of light. And how in the hell is Spider-Man going to beat that guy, right? What's going to happen? I need to know in 28 pages with that.
But not that particular issue because it's sealed.
Not that one. I've got another copy over here, so there's that.
We learned about life through these. Now, comics like what you had just now, that comic you just had now, was pure fun and adrenaline and escapism, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to ask you fellas, have you fellas read the Green Lantern run, Green Lantern, Green Arrow by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams, The Hard Traveling Heroes? Have you all read? Sal, you've read it, right? Have you read the entire run?
Yes.
Kevin, have you?
Like I said, that follows Joseph Campbell's the hero's journey to a T. That's the embodiment of that. There.
So these books, there were 13 issues that appeared from 76 to 89, and 88 was a giant size. We dealt with drug addiction. We dealt with racism. We dealt with union rights. We dealt with environmental issues. We dealt with Native American rights. The weak issues in that run were the couple of issues that dealt with, there was a Sinestro issue with the supervillains. It just didn't work. These were so on point. In the drug issues where Speedy's a junkie, when Green Arrow sees Speedy shooting up and sees he's a junkie, what does he do to him? Anybody remember?
Beats the crap out of him.
Yes. Yeah. He hits him. He hits him and can't believe that a ward of his would do that. And as he walks out the door, in his mind, he's absolving himself of blame, saying, it's nothing I did to him. I don't know why he felt like that. I mean, I know I haven't been around and I've been doing this and that, but I brought him up better than that.
Yeah.
How freaking true to life is that?
Yeah.
How true to life is that? It's
brilliantly written, because with comic books, it would be like, we need to get you help. But it's a lot more realistic, like the visceral reaction.
This was 1970. And the series got canceled, and the final issues of it had to actually appear as the backup in the Flash. And there were pretty potent issues, because Green Arrow, who's got an injury, is hurt. He misshoots and he hits a guy and kills him. And so the Arrow goes to a monastery and is trying to clean his soul and all. I mean, these are deep, deep issues. So comics, we get the adrenaline rush, yes, but comics also have some deep social commentary that they tell us. So there's so much, I love to educate people in a nice way that think they're just funny books. And I said, no, they're not all funny books. It's like movies. There are movies for kids. There are movies for adults. There are summer movies. There are in-depth, character-driven movies. And there's a comic out there for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a comic for everybody. But it's just, this is such a medium that I am so passionate about and I love so much. And that's part of why I really appreciate you all taking me on, because it just gives me another platform,
another outlet.
another outlet, because I
That's
hold
true.
court at Comic Logic every Wednesday. We have our other shows, and I'm kind of a ambassador emeritus, with the comic community around here, right?
Mhm.
But it's just, I just want to get it out and let everybody know how wonderful this, this medium is. And my God, look how things have changed in 20 years. The
Yeah.
culture has changed. We're the,
Yep.
Comic guys are the cool kids now, right?
Yeah.
If you're into comics, you're one of the cool kids. So, it's just, I love this medium, and I love to talk with like-minded individuals like y'all. So again, it's an honor to be a part of what y'all are doing, and I do appreciate y'all. Thank you for that.
I would say that the honor was ours, man.
I appreciate that.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect place to put this topic to bed. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard 4 wonderful stories from 4 very unique individuals on why we collect, and you've heard some deep and personal things, but that's only scratching the surface. We're going to revisit this topic of conversation with other members of the Codex Station, so that way we can get their input as well as to why they collect comic books. So stick around for that in the future. Before we get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, once again, all 3 of you guys, I want to thank you so much for all the work that you guys do. Gary, I know you're the new kid on the block right now, but you have done so much already behind the scenes that's been going on. Sal and Kevin, you guys are troopers to the end. I mean, this
Not
is
stormtroopers though, right?
No, more
You
like
can hit
red
what you
shirt.
aim at.
Yeah, more like red shirt Star Trek. There you go.
Oh, that ain't good.
We got to go on an
Fair,
away team,
fair.
gentlemen. I'm in a blue shirt. Gary's in a gold shirt. Looks like you guys are wearing red shirts today.
Hey, I'd take it off
Go.
too. Let's go. It's after dark, right? Let's go.
Oh my God! But it,
Go talk to that creature. He seems friendly.
yeah, there we go. But in all seriousness, the entire team, right? Jamie and Sonny, if they would have never sat down and Jamie would have never made the call and said, "Hey, Sonny, I want to do this," we wouldn't be here doing
That's
this
right.
right now. So the ultimate thanks goes to Jamie and then to
Yes.
Sonny and everybody else, guys. Where Gary, this is our outlet, and it's a pleasure to have you be a part of this, and it's a pleasure to have you sit here every night with us from now on, because you can't leave. The contract says you're in it to win it.
I'm in it, baby, all the
My
way.
God,
You're in,
we're going.
you're in.
That's right. If you're in, you're in. Yeah.
That's right, y'all. I'll jump in the ring with y'all anytime, baby.
Done. Time for a tag in. Let's do it.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get out of here before tears start dropping and everybody starts hugging. Before that, though, you can go to thecodexstation.com for all your Codex needs. That's where you can find everybody. You can meet the team, get some merch, and so much more. Also on thecodexstation.com, you can find all our socials links, and all you got to do is type in at the Codex Station on your favorite one. Make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, and follow, so that way you don't miss more awesome content like this all the time, every time. Don't forget that neat little QR code right there. That is our Patreon. Super awesome exclusive content only for Patreon members. For the price, yeah, there you go. There you go. For the price of a cup of coffee, guys, if you so please, and it would definitely help us out all the more. Sal, when we are not doing Codex stuff with your beautiful slabs in the background, where can people find you?
All right, you can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner and Instagram as the Slab Guy 77.
Wonderful. And Kevin, you are on Facebook doing Facebook things, catering to old people. What
I am.
are you doing
I created a group over on Facebook, Comic Character of the Day, where I got my family here all sucked up into it too. And we'd love to have you come over and check us out. We put up a different character every day. We do all sorts of other goodies and nerdy news and pictures and cool stuff.
You dropped out.
Yeah, that threw me out there for a minute. Anyway.
Nope, keep going.
Okay. And we'd love to have you come over and become part of our cult that we're starting here at the Codex Station.
One of us.
Comic character of the day.
There you go. And ladies and gentlemen, Uncle Gary dropped out probably with some computer issues, but don't worry. You can find him on Facebook right there / ye grumpier ol apostrophe nerds for his podcast that he does with 2 other co-owners of Comic Logic. And that is the only comic book company in Loudoun County in Ashburn, Virginia. Is that right, Sal? Am I saying
That is correct?
That is perfect. Look at that. That's on the fly, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you go to facebook.com / ye grumpier ol apostrophe nerds so you can listen to him on the 2nd and 3rd Thursdays of every month, where they sit down and talk about awesome stuff, and it's a great banter back and forth. And also, if you are in Ashburn, Virginia, make sure to head over to the store that he co-owns, and that is Comic Logic.
It's a great store. I was in it, and it's very well done.
Wonderful. And the on the spot for that is going to be coming out here pretty soon. We are going to go fishing for Uncle Gary. I hope he's out there because I am ready to reel him back in. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, my name is Tim. This guy is Sal the Slab Guy. And down below is Archduke Kevy. And over there in the astral plane, fighting Heralds of Galactus and Doctor Strange knockoffs is Uncle Gary. We will see you guys next time.
See you.